Good evening, everyone. My name is George Jones. I'm the grants manager for the City of Bowie, Office of Grant Development and Administration. And welcome to the first public hearing from the City of Bowie regarding for the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, also called the CAPER for fiscal year 2020. This meeting is like I said, the first of three public hearings regarding the funding that we received from HUD. But before I begin, I'm just going to give you an overview of what's going to happen. I'm going to go through the presentation here, and at the end of the presentation, I'll allow for question and answer period, as well as comments. You can submit your comments online through the system here, and I will be able to read them at the end of the report once I get done. As I said, this is the HUD Community Development Block Grant funding from the Department of Housing and Community Development. The City of Bowie is an entitlement city, and the program provides annual grants on a formula basis to cities and counties to develop viable urban communities by providing housing, suitable living environment, and expanding economic opportunities, particularly for low, moderate income persons. Also, let me back up. I just wanted to say also, the full report, the full CAPER report is available online at cityofbowie.gov. You would click on the government tab, then the grants tab, and then you'll see a tab for HUD CDBG, and you'll see the full report in detail along with attachments for your review. This report covers the period from July 1, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. Okay, as I continue on, hold on there. Let me get to the next screen. I reviewed that. The national objectives for this program are, as I mentioned before, to benefit low and moderate income persons, eliminate slums and blight, or fulfill an urgent need. The City of Bowie develops its funding priorities that address at least one of these three national objectives. Eligible activities for this funding include the acquisition, demolition, or rehabilitation of real property, construction of public facilities, public services, and energy conservation and renewable energy. One of our main programs here at the City of Bowie is the Single Family Housing Rehabilitation Program. This is a program we've been operating for approximately 10 or 11 years here within the City of Bowie, and it provides funds to single family homeowners with limited means to do energy efficiency related upgrades and repairs to their homes. These repairs include things like roofs, doors, windows, HVAC systems, insulation, and Energy Star appliances. And also we do provide modifications for those who have mobility challenges as well. Also included with the rehab program is a energy audit, where an individual will come in, or one of our contractors will come in and basically do an analysis of your home to see how it is performing. And also you can use that information to use as you decide on what types of repairs or modifications you want to have done with the grant funds. The grants are $10,000 per household. And in addition, we also do a lead-based paint inspection prior to any repairs being done in the home. The CDBG process includes citizen participation, which is one of the reasons why we're having this public hearing this evening, because it establishes a needs assessment. About 2 or 3 years ago, we did a citizen survey that went out to the residents in the city, and they could suggest the things that were important to them that we could use some of the HUD funding for. The needs assessment identifies housing needs, human services, and non-housing community development, as you see on the screen here. The CDBG process is a 5-year block grant funding, as I stated before. So we set goals and objectives and performance measures for a 5-year period, and we get the funding from the federal government on an annual basis, annual formula basis. And we have to stick each year, we have to adhere each year to the identified objectives as we proceed with programs and services to address those needs. In addition, we also have an annual action plan. Now, this plan is done in May, and this is how we identify what we're going to do in the upcoming fiscal year with the money that we get from HUD for the HUD CDBG program, and identifies resources, activities, and actually performance measures that we will adhere to during the course of the year, so that it's reported and recorded for submission to HUD, so that they can review our actions, and also the general public can review what we plan to do with the money. That also involves a citizen participation process as well. And tonight, what I'm reporting tonight is on the CAPER, which is a review of what we did with the money in the prior year. The actual expenditures, progress, status, and deliverables are all included in the report, and a full explanation and detail can be seen online at the website that I informed you of earlier. This chart right here is a flow chart which identifies exactly how we go about with the CAPER reporting. This has to be filed 90 days after the program year. This year is a little different due to COVID-19, that we were giving an extension in order to file the report, but it still needs to be filed. And we have, I guess our planned date to file this report is November of 2020. We collect the data from all of the departments within the city, and they submit their accomplishments during the year. And we use that in putting together this CAPER document. So if you review in detail the reporting online, you'll see in detail all the accomplishments and activities and things that each of the departments within the city accomplished during the year. I'm going to highlight one right here, and that's with the continuum of care. As you see the other ones here, fair housing, affordable housing, but the continuum of care within the city, we do services to help the homeless and those in need within the city. We work with the city departments, we work with the police department, community services, as well as identifying those within the city that may have needs, as well as we work with Prince George's County continuum of care programs to also address issues of homelessness and those in critical need within the Bowie area as well. We also have to submit a narrative, which is included in this report, and it identifies the priorities that we have been set forth with our 5-year plan, which is also called the CON plan. And we would identify there any major changes or indications of potential program changes in that reporting, and how we're carrying out the plans during the how we carried out the plans during the course of the year, any deviations or any other types of trends that may be noted in that report that we have identified. This flow chart here identifies how we what's the flow of the CAPER. We identify all the reporting that is done with the HUD funding is basically loaded into a online system from HUD, and it tracks and basically generates reports that identify, as it states here, our accomplishments, our financial summaries, and also all our activities have to be entered into this online system, along with this report here, this CAPER, which actually has a number of areas that have to be entered into the system, which includes a summary, executive summary, certifications, all the hearing notices for the public hearings also have to be entered into the system, as well as a draft. What we've produced to date right now is a draft of the CAPER, which can be seen online at the website, again, which is the City of Bowie grants, HUD, CDBG. You will see the draft of the CAPER along with the attachments that are included in the report. This draft will be online and available for you to review from today through October the 23rd for you to take a look in detail at the CAPER. And also, if you have any additional comments or questions, you can submit those to the email address that I'll give you at the end. Or you can submit those as well online to me tonight as well. So we have to make the CAPER available for 15 days prior to submission to HUD, which we will do after we come up with the final draft of the report. And also, it will be available for you to make public comments at that time. As I stated earlier, our plan at this point in time is to go through these public hearings, submit it to our council for adoption, make it available to you, and the timing is for it to be submitted to HUD in November of 2020 this year. Accomplishments for this past fiscal year, which ended June 30th of 2020. We completed single family housing rehab program design and the application process. And we approved 21 new residents to participate in the program. 18 rehab projects were completed by June 30th, 2020. And then we also began the process for taking on new applicants. In January, we had a kickoff meeting for a new round of applicants, as well as completed their reviews of their applications, environmental reviews, and completed the entry of these new activities in the as I mentioned earlier, in the online system for HUD, as well as we have drawn down funding, which the funding that was drawn down is identified in the online system as well. And there are financial summaries included in the report online. Also, during the year, we did some other accomplishments, accomplished some other goals that were set forth with the HUD money. During the month of April, due to the pandemic, we were unable to do in-person meetings, but we did a website presentation. It was done by Ms. Glodora Hughes on what fair housing is, the legislative histories, and the state of Maryland and real life examples, as you see here, housing violations that her office is handling for Maryland residents. This material was publicized to all city staff, county employees, and surrounding municipal governments. And this information is also available in full and detail on the city website. It's listed as an attachment and has its own separate identification, but it will be identified as fiscal year 20 CAPER, but it'll be identified as fair housing. And you feel free to take a look at that, and you'll see in detail the handouts and the presentation that was made available online. Also, the City of Bowie launched its second year of the Workforce Development Program in the spring, in this past spring, and that was for Bowie residents aged anywhere from 15 to 25 years old. This year, we trained 38 residents in life skills that would make them effective job seekers and employees. Trained them on such things as time and financial management, effective communication, stress management, budgeting, and relationship building. The city also, also provides services to help the homeless, as I mentioned earlier. Staff here, we go out and on an as-needed basis, as we get calls for service, we go out and respond with other city departments, law enforcement, community services individuals. We respond with them to those that have been identified in the need of support, or from inquiries that residents also share with us for people, residents of the City of Bowie that are facing homelessness or maybe even facing eviction. All this information is included in the report, as well as staff also work with the county's Continuum of Care program, which is made up of a number of homeless service providers in the area. A couple other things, it's not on any of these slides here, I just want to identify, is we have other accomplishments, and I'll identify this with the police department. The police department this past year responds, as you know, to calls for services regarding public safety throughout the city. It's noted in their report that the calls for service this past year was down about 9.5% based on the reporting they submitted this year. So I thought that was significant to see that calls for service did decrease this year. In addition, the police department does a number of community engagement activities. I think I counted over possibly 60 different activities that the city police department does in its efforts to reach out and engage citizens within the City of Bowie. Also, economic development office also provides a revolving loan program to businesses. So this past year, they add money to this program each year. I think it started out with a little over $100,000, but it's grown in their revolving loan program to over $350,000 as of June 30th of this past fiscal year that was just completed. In addition, the food pantry, which is operated out of the old Ken Hill Center, at the Ken Hill Center, provided services to over 4,500 individuals that were in need of various services. It could have been for food. They do an emergency financial assistance for those that may need some help with utility bills as well. So I thought that was significant to see that they're doing a great job over there at the food pantry, and all their information is also identified in detail in the report. The Department of Community Services operates a number of various divisions. I'm going to highlight, if you take a look at the Youth and Family Services, obviously provides services, various services to the youth and family residents here within the city of Bowie. And their accomplishments also are identified in the report. We also have the Bowie Gymnasium, which provides recreational activities to residents, both youth and adults. The department also operates the ice arena, which is another recreational facility here within the city. And finally, the senior center is also operated under the Department of Community Services, and they have a variety of programs and services that they offer at that location to meet the needs of our senior community. The target area for our CDBG is basically the entire city of Bowie, the incorporated boundaries of the city of Bowie, as shown on this map on the screen here now. So obviously we try to reach out with all of our programs to incorporate the needs that have been identified in the various areas in the city for services. Additional funds. We've also, with the single family housing rehab program, we did receive money from the State of Maryland Community Legacy Program of $100,000, and we've been using that funding for the past, I believe, 2 or 3 years to supplement the single family housing rehab program. This is a way of us leveraging with the funding that we've gotten from HUD. We leverage this money as additional funds to help with the rehab program that we're operating. Also, this current year, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, HUD provided the city with CARES Act funding to address the needs of those individuals affected by COVID-19. This money was given to us in June of this past year. The funds amounted to $116,000, a little over $116,000. We put together a plan, how we would use those funds, and submitted it to council and got it approved, and has submitted our plan right now to HUD. The programs haven't started yet, but I will share with you there are 3 programs that will be coming forth this year. The programs are Emergency Rental Assistance Program, where we'll be providing grants up to $1,000 for approximately about 75 rental citizens, those that rent within the city of Bowie. So look forward for that program to come forward very shortly, as well as we have a personal protective equipment project assigned to those we will utilize those funds for as well. So we'll be purchasing protective equipment for city staff and city residents that may be in need as well. And finally, we will be providing emergency food distribution at about 5 to 6 locations around the city coming up shortly. So all of these programs we advertise on the city website and social media and various other resources that we will identify and make known to the residents of the city of Bowie. So those that in need or may want to participate in those programs can take advantage of those. And you should see that information start to come out shortly. As I stated earlier, this program is a 5-year strategy. It identifies and analyzes housing, human services, and community development throughout the city, determines the priority needs within each category in a comprehensive and coordinated fashion, and sets forth a 5-year annual goals to address the unmet community needs. When a city does not have a program such as this, no city housing authority or its social services do not directly provide for homeless, the solutions can be developed by partnering with regional organizations to ensure the delivery of comprehensive human services to Bowie residents. Referrals and the provision of information on where a given services may be obtained as a solution or through the city of where you can go and have your needs met as well. As I stated earlier, the complete program of the CDBG program can be found on the city's website under the website or the address, the the web address shown on the screen here. Under grants, you're going to look for HUD, and then you're going to be looking for the CAPER fiscal year 20 CAPER report. All our prior year CAPER reports are also listed there, as well as our con plan, which is our 5-year strategy, and along with many other things and accomplishments and information that may be important that you may want to take advantage of. So take a look at it at your convenience and give us your feedback. If you need to send the grants office, a notification directly, whether it be tonight or later on regarding our CAPER, you can submit that information to the email address. Is called Bowie, BOWIE, HSG at cityofbowie.org. So you can submit your comments or questions directly to our office, and we will respond accordingly. And finally, as again, I will say that this report will be filed to HUD in November of 2020. And if that sort of concludes everything, if you have any questions, please raise your hand or submit it under the question and answer, or as I stated earlier, or I just stated, you can submit your questions through email to the email address I mentioned prior. Let me see if I have any questions. Well, that concludes everything. Seeing no questions or comments, that will conclude tonight's presentation. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and have a great evening. Thank you.